Good morning, welcome to the allotment. It's the 16th of March and we're due for some warm weather coming in the end of the week. It's a bit chilly this morning, but we've got a few rain showers coming in today. But other than that, towards the end of the week it's going to be quite warm. I'll just share a few little updates with you. So in the polytunnel we've got these cauliflower, and if I move along, the cabbage growing along quite well. These are some onions which I brought down here. They've been picked out and there's some more at home to be picked out, and they'll be coming down in the next few weeks, or next few days I should say. So those are tough ball onions. Then moving along, the next thing we've got is some stocks. These are some flowers which my wife wants to grow, and the last time we were down I started some carrots. Don't know if you can see, but they're just coming through. Those are sweet candle, so it won't be long before I start some more. Go up to the swinging shelf. All this has got to come down and be watered, but we've got on the swinging shelf the cabbage, which is growing nicely. We've got the sweet peas. I might take some of the tops out of those today. We've got the broad beans, which need a bit of a water, and we've got some cauliflower. Down on the main bed, so down on the main bed now, the onions and shallots, the red onions, shallots, the leeks, all going away well. The potatoes in buckets, don't know if you can see now, these have been filled up. I had to fill these up a couple of days ago. They just come through and there was a frost, or a threat of a frost overnight, so they were all topped right up. If I whiz down this far end, so you can see in this bucket hopefully that they're just starting to poke through again, so they're growing away quite quickly. These are the Swift. The other 6 buckets which I'm going to be working on top of, I've got the Pentland Javelin in. So what I'm going to do today, I've got this tray which I'm going to start some peas off in, and then I've got some more root trainers which I'm going to start some sweet peas off in. And when I get back home we're going to have plant quite a few seeds. Okay, just outside the polytunnel for a little while before we start planting up, I'll just share with you all the work that's been done in the since the last video. So if you remember, I'd covered part of this, so I've now covered most of this area. So the only area that's not covered is the wildlife area up by the pond, and the birds are making use of that at the moment. And in the summer, late spring, summer, the bees will make use of that pond. And you can see the beehives tucked away behind there. There has been some activity. Not all those hives are full, but the ones that have got bees in, there's been some activity which is nice and promising. If I just move around, you can see all this area has been done. You see there's a big gap. We have got a plum tree at home which is going to spend a year on the patio, and then there's a space for that to be dropped in probably next winter. We'll carry on round. We've done the rest of this area. There's still a bit by the compost bin to be tidied up, but all this area has been done now. I haven't put the wood around the trees. That one has been left. The pear tree has been left. I've just got to prune some of the bits back off the bottom of that tree. We've got some rhubarb coming through now. That's coming through quite nicely. Okay, so I'll get back in the polytunnel and get on with the work in there. So as I've said, this is the work for today. So we've got sweet peas to go in here, and we've got peas to go in this one. So I will prepare this first, one of the problems people have is when they use these root trainers, they don't set them up quite as they should. So it's a case of filling these cells as well as you can, making sure you force the compost down into the cells. So get your fingers, force the compost into the cells. Notice I'm working on top of the potato buckets and on top of the other seed tray that I need to use. So any that falls, compost that falls off just goes into those. So just force compost down, put a bit more on. And now what I'm going to do, the reason I fill this up first is I'm going to give this a really good soak. And I've got a tub over here, so I'll just move it over here. Okay, so there you can see that's in a trug of water, and those are going to be left in there to soak. And what I'll do is carry on putting the peas in while I'm waiting for that to finish. Okay, in terms of the peas, this has had a good soak. What I've got here, let me just tip some of that water out. I've got the seed tray and I've got a tray underneath which is all damp after watering those sweet peas. So I can just fill this up. Now this isn't very deep, and I'm going to put 3 peas in each cell. So there's 84 cells in this. Like I say, I'm going to put 3 peas in, because you want to plant your peas. When you put peas in, you want to really pack them in nice and tight. Give them the best opportunity possible. Okay, this is a big growers pack, whatever they call it in the seed catalogue. So it's Hurst Green Shaft. We used to grow these a lot. We stopped growing them, not for any particular reason. We found another variety that we like, Terrain. But the last couple of years, Terrain hasn't performed as well as it did previously. So we swapped back to these. Terrain is good later on in the season because it's resistant to mildew, which is something that you can get later on in the season. So we're going to do these Hurst Green Shaft. We're going to put quite a few in. This is going to be the first sowing. There's going to be another sowing as well. And then there'll be some terrain to go in as well. We do use a lot of peas. Okay, so just put those in, prod them down. There's 3 or 4 to one of these cells. More than 4 in that one. There we go. One of the problems with peas is they will jump up. These cells are a little bit small. I know some people might be critical, but I'm only going to get these going slightly and then they're going to be planted out. Just gives me a week or so to get the ground ready, and like I say, then they can be planted. Really, we've had a few nice warm days. We've got some more forecast, as I've said. One of the dangers, of course, if you get nice weather this time of year, if it's warm in the day, sometimes we don't get frosts at night, so we have to just be aware of the weather forecast. But we haven't got any forecasts for frosts this coming week. The other method we've used for growing peas is in gutters. So we've got some lengths of guttering, put the compost in, put the peas in, start them in here, and then you can slide them out the gutters. I haven't noticed any great difference between using this method I'm using now or using the gutters. Both give you the advantage of being able to start them off and get them going before transferring. A few years ago I did have 2 lots of gutters, and I used peat-based compost and peat-free compost and started the peas in. They were started at the same time. They were kept watered. They were grown side by side. They were transferred out side by side into the same bed, and the ones in the peat-based compost outperformed the peat-free. They germinated first, they grew on better, and they produced more flowers when they were in the ground, probably because they developed a better root system, and they produced a bigger crop. And like I say, that was my one test between peat-based and peat-free compost. I haven't tried again since. It's obviously something I'm going to have to do again soon when we are all forced to use peat-free compost. But I am producing a lot more of my own compost now as well. But I wouldn't be able to produce enough of my own compost to use it, start all my seeds, grow all my potatoes in buckets, grow my carrots in tubs, etc. So I've got to find a suitable shop bought compost that I can use. And it needs to be cost effective as well. Okay, so that's all the peas planted up. or sown I should say. So they just need to go on one side and have a water. I'm going to put them down on the side, but I'll probably put another swinging shelf in before I finish today, and that will be where these will go. Okay, so for now I'll just put them on the side. This year we're only growing our own saved sweet pea seeds. So as you've seen, we've got some already on the shelf there. I might go through cutting those out with you as well today. So this is the second sowing. For a lot, I know a lot of show growers have got their sweet peas growing away quite well at the moment. We don't grow for show. And if we did show, the shows we'd be going to will be quite late, so I'd need to be sowing these seeds perhaps in another month's time to try and get something for those shows. But these are just to be cut to go in the house. And as I say, we're just growing a complete mix this year. We have got some name varieties, but we decided to save our own seeds and just see what comes. So it could be a disappointing year, could be a good year. We'll just have to wait and see. The original seeds all come from Somerset Sweet Peas, which is a good supplier of seeds. He's based in Minehead in Somerset. I don't know if he's still doing shows. I know he used to do the shows, and that's where we met him at the Dunster show a number of years ago. He had a lovely display on, and since then we've bought the seeds from him and his wife. We've seen his wife a few more times at shows as well, following that original show that was at Dunster. Okay, so I'll prod those down. I'll just put a bit of compost on the top. As you saw, this is, I don't need to water this again. The seeds have been pushed down into the wet compost. They will germinate all right. So this just needs to go on the shelf now, away from any, bit like the other peas. I need to put a shelf up over that side of the polytunnel to protect the peas and the sweet peas from any rats and mice that are likely to get into the tunnel overnight and feast away on them. Okay, so that's the two jobs for today done. I've got a bit more watering to do, but I'll say goodbye for now, and I'll see you again soon.